Oh, hello, boys and girls. I'm sure you weren't expecting me. Usually you'd be seeing Miss Nunn, won't you? But sadly, Miss Nunn's not here today. She has asked if me, Grandma Nunn, her grandma, can come read a story to you today. So I hope that's okay, boys and girls. So my name is Grandma Nunn, and I am Miss Nunn's grandma. I live with her in her home, and today she's asked if I can read a story. And of course I was delighted, boys and girls, because I love reading stories. When Miss Nunn was a young little girl, I used to read stories to her all the time, and I love it. I just love it so much. So of course it's a pleasure to come and be with you today, boys and girls, and read a story to you now. So I've chosen a story that Miss Nunn used to love when she was a young girl. So I hope you're ready and sitting comfortably for our story poppets. This one's called The Last Noo Noo. Ooh, I wonder why he calls it a Noo Noo. I think he really means a dummy. Did you have a dummy when you were a young lady or a young boy? I didn't have dummies in my day. We just used to stuck our thumbs. Anyway, are you ready, poppets? Ready for my story with Grandma Nunn? Okay. Marlon sat on the floor watching TV. Marlon's granny sat in the armchair watching Marlon. "He's getting too old for that dummy," she said sternly to Marlon's mum. "It's a Noo Noo," said Marlon. "He calls it a Noo Noo," explained Marlon's mum. "Well, whatever he calls it," said Marlon's granny. "He looks like an idiot with that stupid grape thing stuck in his mouth all the time." "Quite rude, Granny." "He doesn't have it all the time," soothed Marlon's mum. "Only at night or if he's a bit tired. He's a bit tired now, aren't you, pet?" Said Marlon. Just like me, that granny sitting in her armchair. I hope I'm not as grumpy as that granny, though. "His teeth will start sticking out," warned Marlon's granny. "Monsters' teeth stick out anyway," observed Marlon. "Don't answer back," said Marlon's granny. "You should just throw them all away," she continued. "At this rate, he'll be starting school with a dummy. At this rate, he'll be starting work with a dummy. You'll just have to be firm with him." "Well," said Marlon's mum, "I am thinking about it. We'll start next week, won't we, Marlon? Now you're a big boy, we'll just get rid of all those silly Noo-Noos, won't we?" "No," said Marlon. "You see," said Miss Marlon's granny, "one word from you and he does what he likes." There was no doubt about it. Marlon was a hopeless case. That means Marlon's granny does not believe that Marlon will stop using them. Marlon's mum decided to take drastic action. She gathered up every single Noo-Noo she could find and dumped them all in the dustbin 5 minutes before the rubbish truck arrived. But Marlon had made plans just in case the worst should happen. He had secret Noo-Noo supplies all over the house. Very clever Marlon, aren't you? He had a yellow one down the side of the armchair, a blue one at the back of the bread bin, various different types in a toy ambulance, and his favourite pink one was lurking at the toe of his Wellington boot. I really hope he doesn't put that one in his mouth after it's been in his smelly old Wellington boot. His mother and granny were astonished. They could not think where he kept finding them. "You'll be teased when you go out to play," warned his granny. "A great big monster like you with a baby's dummy." Marlon knew about this already. The other monsters had been teasing him for ages, but he loved his Noo-Noos so much that he didn't care. The other monsters often lay in wait and jumped out on Marlon when he passed by with his Noo-Noo whirling. "Who's the big baby then?" jeered Basher. "Does the little boy need his dummy then?" sneered Alligator. "Who's this mummy's little darling?" cooed Boopsie-Daisy. Marlon always ignored their taunts. "You're just jealous," he replied. "You'll wish you've got one too." Wasn't very nice of them to make fun of poor Marlon. Gradually, the secret supply of Noo-Noos dwindled, which means they were running out. Marlon's mum refused to buy any more, and they all began to be lost or thrown away by Marlon's mum. Finally, there was only one left, the pink one. Marlon kept it with him all the time, either in his mouth or under his pillow or in the toe of his Wellington boot, where no one thought to look. To his delight, Marlon found an extra Noo Noo that his mum had missed. It was a blue one, which had fallen down the side of his bed and had been covered up by a sock. He knew his best pink Noo Noo wouldn't last forever, so he crept out and planted the blue one in the garden. Ooh, I wonder what he was doing with that one. Not a very clean place to store a dummy, is it? All the other monsters decided to gang up on Marlon. They collected lots of different bits of junk. Oh, sorry, sometimes I can't see from my glasses. They collected lots of different bits of junk and fixed them all together until they had made just what they wanted. It was a Noo Noo snatcher. Then they waited behind a bush until Marlon came past with his pink Noo Noo whirling. "Here he comes," said Alligator. "Grab it," yelled Boots at Izzy. "No," said Basher. Do you think they're going to grab it off him with their Noo Noo snatcher? With one quick hooking movement, they caught the ring of the Noo Noo with the Noo Noo snatcher and pulled. But Marlon clenched his teeth and held on. Monsters have the most powerful jaws in the world. Once they had decided to hang on, that's it. Marlon hang on, the monsters hang on to the Noo Noo snatcher, and there they stayed, both sides pulling with all their monster might. Who do you think is going to win? Do you think Marlon's going to win? Or the baddies with their Noo Noo snatcher? And there they would still be if Marlon had not decided just at that very moment that perhaps he was too old to have a Noo Noo anymore. So he let go. And all the other monsters went whizzing off down the road, across the park and into the pond with a mighty splash. Oh my goodness me, what a hullabaloo. Marlon went home. "I've given up my Noo Noo," he said. "I sort of threw it into the pond." "Good gracious me," exclaimed Marlon's mum, sitting down suddenly with the shock. "I told you," said Marlon's granny, "you just have to be firm." "Actually," said Marlon, "I've planted one so I can have a Noo Noo tree, just in case I change my mind." "That's nice," said Marlon's mum. I don't think Marlon's mum believes him. "Nonsense," said Marlon's granny. "Dummies don't grow on tree." "A Noo Noo tree? How ridiculous." Do you think a Noo Noo tree is ridiculous, boys and girls? Look at the Noo Noo tree. And they're covered not in flowers, but in Noo Noos. How exciting, boys and girls. Now he can have Noo Noos all the time. Oh, I hope you enjoyed that story. Miss Nunn used to love this one as a child. She used to ask me, Grandma Nunn, please can you read me the last Noo Noo again? And of course I said yes, because I'm such a soft grandma. I love her dearly, you know. Now, don't you worry, boys and girls, because tomorrow you will have Miss Nunn back again. She's just taking a day off today and let me joyfully come and read to you. But I hope you enjoyed reading with me, Grandma Nunn, today. And you'll see Miss Nunn tomorrow, I'm sure. Have a lovely rest of your day, Poppets. Lovely to meet you all. Bye-bye now. Keep on reading.